watching Raw with Marty Gallagher and JP Bryce on ICTV. We've got a special treat today. Our next guest is 6-time IPF World Champion and 13-time USAPL National Powerlifting Champion. He stands 6'5" tall and competed at a weight of over 300 pounds. Today we welcome Mr. Brad Gillingham. Thanks for being with us today, Brad.
Yeah, great to be on with you, JP and Marty.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And, well, why don't we start with, how do you guys know each other? How does Brad Gillingham know Marty Gallagher?
Well, Marty and I go way back. We met, I believe, for the first time at the 97 USPF National Championships. And Marty and I hit it off real well there. I'd done a lot of reading of Marty's in the past before that, and we hit it off real well and been friends ever since.
Yeah, when we first saw Brad, and I say we, I mean myself and Kirk and Ed Cohn and Gene Bell and all the heavy hitters that used to reside back in the U.S. Damn, Brad, what, USPF, right?
USPF.
Yeah, it's been so long, I forget the initials, right? But yeah, that was Murderer's Row back in those days, and it took a lot to get our attention. But Brad got our attention. Brad and his pop. I don't think any of your brothers were there at the first one, were they?
Yeah, they were.
Were they?
No, I think they were there.
I don't think so. I think they'd be hard to miss. Brad has two brothers. Why don't you tell them about the size of your brothers there, brother?
Sure. Yeah, my brother Carl has competed all over the world for many years. He's maybe kind of in retirement now. He's getting older, but in strongman, he was in 4 of the World's Strongest Man competitions, and then multiple international contests, Arnold Classic, all over Europe, all over the world, competing for many years. My younger brother Wade also competed in strongman for a few years, and then kind of moved more into this whole grip world. He's got, really some of the strongest hands in the world, so he's done a lot of that kind of stuff, grip type contests.
Now, how big are the brothers?
They're both, if they're big, both over 300 pounds. Not quite as tall as me. Carl is maybe 6'3", weighed about 6'2".
Mm-hmm. And then Dad was big too, right?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. He had a bigger frame than all of us.
Now, how tall was? I guess we should back up. Brad's dad was Gillingham, who was an all-star. Was he left guard or right guard for Lombardi?
Right guard most of his career.
Right guard. And Gail got 2 Super Bowl rings, right?
Yeah, his rookie and second year in the league were Super Bowl 1 and 2.
Yeah, and he was in the Ice Bowl, right?
Right, yeah, he was right down there, that famous play. Lombardi, to start with, the play was supposed to go over my dad, and then they had a timeout. He said the field was so frozen they couldn't get any footing. They ended up going over Kramer's side, Jerry Kramer. That's probably one of the most famous plays in pro football.
Right.
It's that Bart Starr quarterback sneak over Jerry Kramer.
Right. So that's what we call genetics, right?
Yeah. The other interesting thing about his dad, Marty, is I was reading that, Brad, your dad was one of the first guys in the NFL to kind of use weight training to stay in shape during the off-season?
Sure, he was, a pioneer in the NFL, in the early mid-'60s, and so there weren't a lot of guys lifting. There were some, and he was one of those early guys that really lifted hard.
Well, they actively discouraged it.
Yeah, especially when he was in college. He'd say they'd run the football players right out of the weight room at the University of Minnesota.
Yeah,
muscle bound,
Yeah, the myth was that it would slow them up and bind them,
So he must have been a huge influence on you and your brothers to get involved in
talking 60s, which I don't remember much of that training because I was too young, but
I do.
60s and 70s, you know, there weren't gyms. There weren't Anytime Fitnesses and Snap Fitnesses and Gold's Gyms and whatever kind of, you know, franchises of gyms you might have.
None. You had none. You had none, Brad. None. You had Holiday Health, I
where
think.
you guys were in Minnesota, huh?
Yeah, there was nothing there. So all of his training was either in the garage or the basement of our house, you know. So we saw him training weights from our earliest memories and watching Dad train in the off season in our house.
Yep. Now, also back, we don't want to stay too long on Gale, but I found it humorous that back in those days, his dad used to have to work at another job in the off season. Can you imagine? He had to work a second job. They didn't pay him enough.
Right, there wasn't that money in the NFL back then.
Oh my God! What would he make nowadays? A two-time Super Bowl player? Oh my God! But then you probably would have grown up spoiled and worthless.
Well, that's kind of the same thing with everybody. You know, we've had that conversation with Kirk, and there was no social media back in those days, and you know, now these guys are all doing a really good job getting sponsored and everything else.
Well, if you're a starting pro football player, you're making $4 million a year. Boom, there you go. Start with that.
Hey, Marty, what impressed you most about? I think you originally met Brad. What was it, 1990?
No, 97, right, Brad?
Or 97?
Yeah.
97, yeah.
So, Marty, what impressed you most about Brad? You said there were some things that just kind of caught your eye.
Yeah, I'm naturally attracted toward monster people.
Right.
You know, I have a natural affinity toward, you know, Paul Bunyan-esque types.
Well, he did do his meets in flannel shirts, though, right?
No. He was actually pretty preppy looking back in the day, if anything.
Right.
You know, we've been talking a lot about the minimalistic approach in training.
Well, you're talking to the wrong guy when you talk to Brad about that.
No, I know, but I'm getting to that. I want to hear about the contrast. So we even talked about on the last couple of podcasts, you know, training once a week to the point where if you do any less, you're not training at all.
That's it.
Now, Brad's got a different approach to that. With Brad, would you say you're more of a volume guy, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, the volume as I've aged has dropped off considerably, but I think I'm very minimalistic in similarity to Marty, where I've kept it simple with, you know, just your basic lifts to train with. I don't buy into a lot of different machines and assistants that way. I'm a squat, bench, deadlift, clean type guy with some assistance. So that's where me and Marty are the same in that area.
Some assistance with maybe more top end sets, or
no, I mean like some assistance movements, like maybe I'll add in Romanian deadlifts at the end of the deadlift training, or I like doing a lot of rack type lockouts and pulls. I got that from my dad. That was what he was really into. But I don't do.
Hold that thought right there. Let's talk about that. Do you understand what he's talking about when he says rack work, JP?
Yeah.
Okay, he's doing partials. And your dad, what was some of your pop's best partial lifts?
Well, there's that picture that everybody seems to have on their wall of my dad. It was from 1975, I believe, in our basement. He's got about 1,500 pounds on the rack with these bundles of 100 pounds, bundles of weights hanging off from chains and S-clips off the inside of the rack. You know, and he's moving it probably, I don't know, 10 inches maybe.
Would that be for single or reps?
For singles.
Okay.
So he would set these records, so to speak, your personal record at each notch on these racks, and then his goal was, he was training period, that he would try to better that record by a little bit each time, you know. and he would do that with both squat, bench, and deadlift. And in fact, he's pulled more. You know, IPF world record holder in the deadlift, but he's rack pull. He pulled 1,140 pounds off a notch right above his knee that was astronomical.
Well, yeah, that also comes in handy when you're fighting a defensive tackle.
Yeah, that's what he figured a lot of that. So, and of course, he was training by himself too. So he would do full movements up to the point of where it wasn't real safe for him, especially in the squat and bench. And then he would do rack to kind of top that off. But if that was conducive to what he was doing.
Yeah, if you look at a lineman's job description, there's a lot of grabbing and isometric kind of tension work, right? Particularly if you're offensive. So the rack work was absolutely profound. I'm surprised that more guys don't pick up on it nowadays because it gave him the kind of strength that he needed.
Yeah, that was right in his strength zone. You know, right in his zone of movement were those, that movement pattern of the rack work he would do.
So yeah, another point on that was the famous Pittsburgh Steelers. They trained together. They didn't even have a team facility. They trained in the basement of a bar. And that'd be Colvin, Webster, and all those those great old-time ball players, and that's the way they did it. And they basically had a barbell and some dumbbells and a bench that may be inclined, maybe some squat racks and dip racks and chin up, and that's it. Again, that's always and forever. It's sort of the minimalistic approach, Brad, is also, we call it prison fitness. It's like the way the guys train when they're in prison, right?
Sure. I understand that. Yeah, they don't have much equipment to train with, so
they get great results. Look at the bodies that are coming out of prison, far superior to the ones that are coming out of health clubs.
And that's even with the minimal nutrition that they have.
World's shittiest nutrition.
Yeah.
Here's a bologna sandwich. Oh, look, today we have a piece of cheese.
Yeah.
And Brad's favorite, ramen noodles.
Carb load on top of that, yeah.
When Brad traveled, Brad was famous. He had it down on travel. He would pack his own food. When we went on international trips, I always got ruined. I drank too much. I ate too much of their food. It really affects you. But Brad was smart because he doesn't drink very much, and he packed his food. And what was it, Brad? It was always the noodles and your chicken. What was your concoction?
Well, yeah, my first two world meets were in the Czech Republic in '97, and then the Ukraine in '98. And I've traveled to the Czech 3 times since then, and they've got very good food. It's very accessible now, but in '97 it wasn't. So
I know, baby. I was in Bratislava in '92.
Mark Phillip, who was the strongman Mark Phillippe, had been over there, and he said, "Hey, you got to bring some food with." And so it'd be some kind of pasta, chicken in the can, tuna in the can, some noodles, and just to get the staples in.
Well, now would you micro it? What was the procedure?
Well, I'd have the international adapter for electricity,
okay,
and I'd have one of these rice cooking pots that you can get at a Target store or Walmart, and I'd plug that thing in and just boil up whatever I could in my room.
And was yours chicken? What was your canned meat?
It was either chicken or tuna or both, And in more recent years, you can get that in, not in a can, but in a package, so it's easier now. But
how much would you pack on a world trip?
I bring, you're talking these countries are places where you'd have to bring your own toilet paper in, Mark.
Right on.
You'd have a bag full of your toilet paper, your water, and your food, and then your other bag would be your clothes and lifting gear. So.
Was your diet, I would imagine your diet was pre-calculated. I mean, did you have a certain amount of grams of protein per meal and all that?
Not that 5 to, depending on what, I eat far less now, but in my prime I was a little younger, somewhere in that 5,000 to 8,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you were competing at like 320, 330, right, in your prime?
Yeah, I still am, you know, it's just a little bit different.
It's a different shape?
Yeah, but I was just in the USAPL Nationals recently, and that was about 325, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, so you were eating close to about a gram per pound of body weight. That's typical, gram and a half.
Yeah, whoa. Back up there, JP. He said in his prime he was eating 8,000 calories a day, brother.
No, but not all of it was protein, though.
Well, I know, but I mean,
The
yeah.
rest was ramen noodles.
Hey, how would you like to fed that family at their peak?
Are you kidding?
Jesus, God, could you?
Imagine feeding the family from Krypton and what that bill looked like.
I'm just saying, you had roughly 1,200 pounds of athlete to feed
1,200 pounds of beef under that roof.
3 times a day. No wonder your father needed a second job.
Well, you know, also, it's really interesting when we get the extended family together for holidays, because my dad's brother Gary is also quite large, and
Great.
my cousin Brian is also quite large. So the amount of food we go through on Thanksgiving is unreal.
Forget about it, man. Oh, boy. What's interesting?
Does everybody get their own turkey?
Right. You know what's really interesting, though, is just to back up a little bit for a second, is Brad didn't start out in powerlifting. You started out in basketball, right? Or track and then basketball?
Yeah, I was all-state shooting guard, and I was 6'10" high jumper at one time.
6'10".
6'10".
Wow.
6'10". Now you didn't weigh no 325 then, did you, brother?
No, I was living in that 200-pound range, and then when track would come around, I'd actually try to lose a little weight so I could jump better, you know, a little bit better in the high jump.
How old were you when you did the 6'10"?
That was my senior year in high school.
Oh,
so
my God.
17, 18 years old.
Oh my God, that is the definition. Now you have family genetics, and now you have explosiveness, right?
Yeah, I had a lot of fast twitch muscle. I could really jump. Actually,
No shit.
I could jump my best off 2 feet. I was weighing about 240. I could stand under the hoop and dunk about 10 times in a row without taking a step. I just dunk it, catch it, dunk it.
Nice.
No
Nice.
kidding.
But those years are long gone now, Marty.
So, yeah, you really had a great foundation to start off with, you know?
Not really. If you had a great foundation to start off with as a swimmer,
Well, okay, so, all right, so you're playing basketball. What happens in your basketball career to steer you now towards weightlifting, towards powerlifting?
Yeah, it's just one of those deals. I mean, I really liked lifting, and I grew up around lifting, and, you know, just one of those deals. You go off to college, and I just kind of messed it all up in college of sports for various reasons. But at the end of the line, I ended up with a serious knee injury, and I had to rehab that. I kind of just put all the basketball and all that other stuff behind me and just really put myself into weightlifting.
Yeah.
but you're a tall, thin man.
Yeah, I'm still thin at that time. My first meet, I'm 23. Go to the Northwest Open at the Northwest Health Club in Fridley, Minnesota, up in the Twin Cities. I'm weighing about 232.
That's 6'5".
4.5, 6'5".
Yeah.
And people are like, well, there's the basketball court over there, pal.
Yeah.
What you doing there?
Right. But what he was able to do, JP, is because he had the frame, he could, as my coach Cassidy used to say, eat his way through sticking points. Just keep getting bigger. Anytime he gets stuck at a poundage, just get bigger. Get stuck there, keep getting bigger, right? And you get, he pushed his way up to 250, to 260, to 270, and you eat your way through the sticking points if you're a lifter. Now, again, you don't have to dunk basketballs or be able to sprint. So we can put on the sumo feed bag, right, Brad?
Exactly what Marty's describing is exactly what I did. It was back then it was about 10 pounds a year.
Yeah, beautiful.
Just keep gaining body weight, keep going up, and moved out of that 242 class right away at the time to the 275. I was there just a year or two, and now I'm in the super heavyweight class.
All right, so Marty has alluded to that you're kind of built all wrong for powerlifting. So one of the ways that you would compensate is to really pound the calories. What other ways did you have for compensating for that?
Well, that rack work I think I've done over the years. That heavy lockouts in the deadlift and the heavy upper end stuff in the squat and the lockouts in the bench really helped a lot. For some reason, I was a very good bencher, raw bencher with long arms. So
yeah, very rare.
I can't really explain that, but it's part of it.
May I explain why you have such a good deadlift, Brad? You know what I'm going to say.
Oh yeah, and you're right too. So.
Yeah, we have photos of Brad it was Christmas, and Brad is maybe, 10 years old, and he's sitting in front of his dad in front of the Christmas tree. Pop's still got on his robe, and Brad's sitting in front of him, and he's squatting, and he's got a barbell on his back, and he's doing the most god-awful bend-forward squat, and Pop's sitting in front of him spotting, and Brad's looking at the father like, Jesus, please, Dad, don't make me do another one. And the father's like, you got about 5 more. You could just tell from the picture, right? And because Brad learned the world's worst squat technique at a very early age, it gave him the most incredible spinal erectors for deadlifting later in life. Now, it ruined his squatting, but for his deadlifting, it was perfect exercise. It was like this gruesome good morning, but he's got some erectors, man. That man can deadlift. Brad, do you have, how many official 800-pound deadlifts do you have?
102.
102 people.
Nobody matches that, right?
No. Who could match that? Who could come close?
Close to that number.
No.
Well, because your career was, 25 years?
Well,
my first 800 came in 95, and my last one now would be 2014, but I'm closing in on it again. I'm hoping I get one more.
Yeah, you get it.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. 100 and how many? 402? 102. God damn. That's great, man. That's great. That's like, that's like, a Mantle or Maris home run record. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to get that one. I don't see it. These guys don't have longevities in their career. We can talk a little bit about that too. I mean, it's like, how is it that you have been so bulletproof and the rest of these guys, they come and they go? Oh, also before, I don't mean to hog, but I just want to mention that Brad is also a lifetime 100% drug-free lifter. Lifting in a sport that is not necessarily that. So he had that to work against too. And he never bitched, moaned, complained, or mentioned it. Okay? He just got on with it. And we appreciated the hell out of that, out of his stance. And he showed that it can be done. Now, just to swing back to my question, Brad, why do you think these guys' careers are so short? The big guys, the heavy, the supers.
Well, okay, why was mine so long?
Yep.
I don't want to get really up on the soapbox on the drug issue, but my career lasted longer because I made slow, steady gains lifting because I did not have those swings when I was drugged. So because I was drug free, I had to keep increasing slowly over time, and so my tendon strength was able to develop favorite. But for me, went slow, made slow, steady increases, and that's why I lasted so long.
And trained sensibly and avoided catastrophic injury.
Right. I mean, I had a couple injuries trying to do strongman at the Arnold, a couple bicep injuries that, come with strongman. But other than that, just the general wear and tear that happens over time, but nothing too catastrophically.
For powerlifting.
Brad, by the way, what you just said, to color that a little bit. Now, the bicep injuries that you had, is that why, that's what made you switch over to a hook grip deadlift, is that right? Because everybody goes, wow, well, he's doing all that weight with the hook grip, not a alternating grip. Is that why you switched, or did you always lift that way?
I actually had switched 2 years before that, and I had a trigger finger injury when I was younger, and my one hand just wasn't quite as strong. And so I'd get in a meet, and I'd pull like 804 on my second, and everybody would say, geez, you got another 30, 40 pounds in you? But I would know in my head that I didn't have much left because my hand was coming open. So there was a guy named Potatini that I bumped into over in Italy in '99 at the Worlds, and then a week later in Sweden at the Battle of the Giants, and I saw him hook grip 854, and so I immediately went back home and started working on it, and by the next year I was in that 843 range, and then I just stuck with it.
That is unbelievable grip strength, and your brothers are all into the grip strength and all that too as strongmen, right?
Yeah, my brothers both have very strong grips. My younger brother in particular, he's got like a freakish-looking thumb that's got a muscle. Marty can tell you what muscle that is, but when you bring your thumb in, it's about the size of a walnut.
Wow, I'll tell you, that is phenomenal grip strength, because to see you lift all that weight with that grip is incredible.
I've gone 1,000 pounds plus out of the rack with a hook grip. I won't do that anymore because I'm worried about my thumbs coming apart. But I've done that before out of the rack.
Yeah. Also, if you can do it, it makes your arms slightly longer. There is a physiological advantage to a double overhand grip. I'd say it probably cuts a grip an inch off the rep stroke. Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree totally. It's a little bit better ending position.
Yep.
It's a little shorter.
Yep.
And then it's just a really nice, even, symmetrical training method for your whole body. You don't get twisted. You can really use your glutes to get that final hip extension, and just comes up real smooth that way.
The boys always made fun of me, but I always use straps. Every set of deadlifts they used to call me straps. Every set of deadlifts I'd use straps. But I never lost a deadlift in competition because of grip. So I said, why not, And that allowed me to train with the double overhand, which I feel is superior. And as long as you don't have a grip issue, I don't think it is an issue. I think these younger guys should pay attention to your rack work. I think that is something that has been totally forgotten. Do you know of any younger promising lifters who are doing any kind of rack work out there? I don't see any of them. They don't even know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, all the young guys I train, they all do in the gym. We've had some very good deadlifters, Nick Taluki, John Krogman, guys that have gone on, Tony Schwabach, Sam Drink, guys that have competed at World Championships out of the gym.
Out of your gym? Out of your gym?
Yeah, out of our gym. They've all trained.
Okay, now hold on. Let's just talk about that. So how big is the town you live in?
So that's a pretty good story. The town I live in is about 1,400 people.
Oh my God, that's a monstrous. That freaked me out, man. 1,400. Oh my God.
Miles from Marshall, where I work, which is about 13,000 people.
Oh no,
But we're a little
13,000.
house in the prairie out here. I mean, Walnut Grove is 40 miles away.
So now out of the little 14,000 people hamlet, how many guys have you sent to the nationals and worlds?
We've had, how does that go now? I just had the number recently. We've had over 40 times we've won national championships. That's with guys winning multiple ones. We've sent 7 guys to IPF World Championships.
Ooh, 7 guys to the IPF World Championships. That's what we call good coaching. Okay? That's how you tell that methods work, right? Because you produce results. And again, these are a bunch of prairie dudes. There ain't a lot of anabolics out there, okay? So again, there's a purity to this, right? And this is how you say, you know what? There's something happening up there in that little strength hamlet, right? You got it going on, Brad. Your results are producing people who are improving.
You know, we should mention the name of Brad's gym. It's Jackal's Gym, and you guys founded this in 1995, right? You and your brothers?
Yep, 95. Yep.
Yeah. So you guys are, explain the facility a little bit in case, now what city is it in?
So we're in Marshall, but it's, there's 2 different Jackals. My brothers have both got they sell a lot of equipment, Ray-Ban strength equipment, and there's a jackalgym.com site, and my older brother operates that. The gym itself is in Marshall, Minnesota. It's just a private facility. I mean, we're not really a public gym. We normally have about somewhere between 15 to 20 guys that train there at any given time of the year. We're in an old warehouse kind of building. It's kind of a dirty building, a lot of dust, chalk, a lot of heavy metal music going. Just, perfect training atmosphere for lifting heavy.
So this is not a place where Marty and I can come and take selfies and do quarter reps and things like that.
Yeah, it's not really conducive to selfies and bicep curls.
Right, well, that's out.
And oil and canning.
Hey.
This is a bunch of guys with chalk and cut-off sweatshirts
and gun racks. Yeah. And now listen, have you not worn out that Molly Hatchet 8-track by now?
I have found my music choices are a little different than the younger guys now that come
Oh my God, you must drive them insane.
I'm throwing up some old stuff, but it's the way it goes.
Let's talk real quick about, and we'll mention your gym again at the end, and see if you got anything going on currently that you want to talk about. But let's just, for anybody listening that wants to know what your top lifts were, why don't you go ahead and let us know what that was?
So top lifts official in competition, and the majority of my competition were either nationals, worlds, or international events, or the Arnold. So 400 kilos in the deadlift, I hit that several times.
That's 880 for you Americans.
And I messed up there, and it's easier said than done, but I know I was over 900 for a period of years, and I should have probably took a chance at it, but it just didn't fit into the game plan for the meet. So
you had to win.
Had to win or move up a spot, and it's like, that's what you do. My squats was 870, 395 kilos.
Maybe the most, you know what, now, that squat's incredible considering the way that you're built with your long legs. That's really amazing lift.
That's a long way to travel.
Sure, and it was in the old gear, too. The old equipment, not the same as today.
Like the one ply?
Oh, no, this is like next to raw.
Or burlap?
Yeah, it's continuing to evolve. And the bench, I guess the best way I could state the bench is I was a 600-pound raw bencher for a number of years before there was raw.
Yep.
I put a loose shirt on, go to a meet, and bench. So my best in a meet was 633.
Mm-hmm.
Very loose shirt.
Yeah.
It's changing, evolving sport these days.
Marty was telling me, I think it was you, but correct me if I'm wrong, somebody got disqualified in a meet for, how some of the bars have the different hash marks on it, one's got like an IWF and one's got an IPF, they're spaced out differently, and somebody had their grip on the wrong hash mark and got disqualified.
federation, because if you lift at a USPF or USAPL or an IPF, that equipment is certified ahead of time. There's no way some dink-ass bar is going to get on one of those platforms, particularly at a big-time meet. Yeah, you must have been talking to one of your.
Guy that came in with the swim fins at one time.
Oh, that was Tony Fitton. Did you know Tony? I don't think you did, Brad. Tony was notorious. No, they made him mad one year because he wore some shoes and they said that it had to be. It was in England. The rule said that it had to be sporting footwear. So the next year he came into the Nationals wearing swim fins. He deadlifted wearing swim fins. And he says, "Oh yeah, he was Tony was the contrarian."
That would have been epic on Instagram, but we didn't have it back then.
Oh, indeed, and he would have flaunted it too. Also, he would smoke a cigarette on the platform.
What a business this is.
Strength sports. We don't need any athleticism. So the guys can, I've seen. Well, anyway, we won't get into what we've seen, will we, Brad?
No, best just keep those things to ourselves.
We'll save that for the tell-all book.
Right.
Let me ask Brad one more thing. Just a simple question here. Well, it might not be so simple. But if there was one thing in your powerlifting career that you could go back and change, what would that be, do you think?
I don't think too much, to tell you the truth. I may have not decided to do a couple strongman meets at the peak of my career in the early 2000s when I was, I had won 2 straight world championships, but there's money in strongman, and I don't regret going to those meets. Those were an experience too. Unfortunately, I had a couple arm injuries, but maybe those are the better of the injuries. Maybe the arm injuries, maybe go back to powerlifting and not get hurt worse doing strongman.
Sure.
But no, I don't have too many regrets. I've always went to the biggest meets I could possibly go to, or tried to get to those meets, and I always went all out. I guess maybe I wish I would have tried 900 when I think I could have done it, but other than that, not too many regrets.
Right. And there's a great picture of you online, by the way. It's I think it was at the Arnold. You're deadlifting the Hummer tires. You've got 3 on each side. It's a very impressive shot.
That was a feat in itself, because nobody knew that day what that bar weighed, and so they just assumed that it called it 45 pounds. They assumed that it weighed what it was. So on the surface, initially they thought I was doing an 859 deadlift, but as it turned out, when they weighed everything afterwards, it was 975.
Yeah, now I believe it was Ivanko that special made that bar for that meet, and if you look at it, I mean, the sleeves on that thing are probably like 6 feet long or whatever. It's a huge bar.
It was a special made bar, and it kind of come in at the last minute, and nobody knew what it weighed to start out with, so they just, in order to have the meet progress, they just called it a certain thing, and then people could judge, how much they would go up on each attempt. But it turns out that it was much more than they thought it was.
Yeah, I can't imagine what you thought on the platform as you're approaching that thing. It's about, as big as a vehicle, and you're going, oh my God, I got to lift this.
I lifted on that stage, though, about 8 times, because I was in 6 Arnold deadlift meets too, which I'm going to go back and do it again this spring, the Arnold deadlift meet. But when you're on that stage in front of all those people, it does strange things to you. I mean,
you got to do it.
You just do it, and you get cranked up, and something else.
Any special psyching techniques that you use? We've talked about the board. We've talked about slapping and all kinds of stuff Marty's been involved in. But how about you?
I just guys and get absolutely cranked up. I mean, I get very cranked up.
Yeah, you turn green and then you hit the platform.
Right, and then I come off and I kind of go back into mellow mode again. I think I say it that way.
Right.
Brad's also one of our, Brad's my right-hand man when we work with the military too. So he is he's a subject matter expert for Naval Special Warfare Development Group, and we love working with those boys, don't we, Brad?
Oh yeah, that's one of the greatest things I've ever done is working with those guys and working with Marty. And as I tell Marty every time how much I appreciate him bringing me into the team, and just being around those guys and working with them is it makes everything, all the pain from training and everything else worthwhile. That's quite a group.
And we help them. We give them what they seek, you know, which is just pure strength. That's all we bring to the table. We just bring strength. But apparently, it's, you know, that's the king of biomotor attributes.
Right. We just keep it simple and we teach them how to get strong, don't we, Marty?
Yep, the raw ultra basics that they never really learned right to begin with. So that's what we take them back to, always and forever, back to the basics, the basics, the basics. With just the basic lifts, and these guys, they live such crazed lifestyles where they either have no time or they have nothing but time, right? So it's good to have some volume trainers on staff like Brad and Jim Steele, both of whom like to train and train often. And interestingly enough, and I don't think coincidentally, is that Brad is a gym owner and Jim is a full-time strength and conditioning coach. So both those guys spend a lot of time in the gym, so why not be a volume trainer? If you're going to be there anyway, well, hell, let's go, right? I mean, what are you going to do? Sit there and, well, you could do like Kenny Fantano and play pinochle. That's what he would do when he was at the gym, right? But I you know, so we have volume trainers. So when the guys are deployed and they have tons of time, well, Jim and Brad can find plenty for them to do. But when they're stateside and they're pressed for time, they don't have any time. It's like, look, boys, you can fold this back into one time a week and still maintain and gain, right? And to them, they think that that's just like, you know, science fiction stuff. But after a number of years, they're starting to buy into it.
Yeah, they're believers.
Yeah.
That's great methods. We just teach the great methods, great form, and to give a couple different workouts depending on what their situation is for that time of the year. And it's just a great working with them.
Yeah, we're heading back down in February, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope to be out there with you guys.
That'd be great. That'd be very good.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up. We could go on all day on this.
Yes, we
Brad's,
could.
So much interesting info and history and all that. Brad, you want to plug anything? You got anything coming up that you want to talk about? You want to give the address, your website, or anything like that?
Yeah, the website for the gym is jackalsgym.com. Again, they've got, my brothers own that website. They got a lot of good equipment, supporter gear, Ray-Ban supporter gear, knee sleeves. So our gym is Jackal's Gym. And yeah, coming up, I got invited back to the Arnold. I want to try to, you know, I asked to try to put it out there. I want to try to pull 800 pounds again up on that stage. So that's my most immediate goal anyway with lifting.
At what age? How old are you now?
I'll be 52 at the time of the contest. So
Okay, wow.
I don't know if any 50-year-olds have pulled 800 before. I don't know.
There have been. I'm thinking probably Larry Kidney. He would be one, right? The old 275. I think Terry McCormick might have been right at 50. Chalet might have uncorked one at 50 too.
So I'd be in great company anyway if I can get it done.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Now you're talking about the Arnold coming up here in late February or March, right?
Yeah, I think the date on it would be like March 1st or 2nd I'd be competing.
All right, what's coming up quick? Where you at in your training? You good?
Pretty good right now. I'm
Good.
just starting to kind of ramp it up. trying to find that blend these days of how much volume I should do. You know, and really in the deadlift is one thing I don't do a lot of volume in. I do a little bit more in the squats. So it's going good.
Well, you gotta stay healthy and
kick some ass.
You know, that's the biggest thing is longevity as you get older, right? You really gotta. I got one of our sales guys that works for us. He's he's about Marty's age. He works.
Great. Is he in a does he have a walker and is he in a wheelchair? Does he use a cart at Walmart?
Pretty funny. He works out now not to necessarily gain size and strength. It's to stay out of the ambulance.
Right.
He just wants to be healthy. So anyway, all right. So that should wrap it up today. We appreciate you being here. This is all great info. Very interesting to kind of go back in time and hear how you came up and got into the sport and some of your records and your family members and things like that. So we appreciate it very much. So go check out jackalsgym.com. We've also got for Marty's weekly column and podcast videos, Raw with Marty Gallagher. Go to ironcompany.com. Marty's also available for online training and seminars. You can reach him by going to our athletes page at ironcompany.com, where you'll also see Mr. Brad Gillingham on that page as well. And for all your equipment needs, like strength equipment, free weights, cardio, stuff like that, go to Iron Company. And we've also got Kirk Karwoski's power bar, so check that out too. It's a great power bar. And that's it. Thank you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
I'll see you in February.